In the previous tutorial, we were talking about solving when you have two different annuities. Now, in the example I did before, you knew how much you wanted to take out each year. In the case we did, you wanted to take out $50,000 a year to finance your daughter's college education for the 4 years she's in college. And we wanted to know how much to put into your account each year. Now let's look at the other case. Suppose you're saving for your retirement. You know how much you'll be putting away each year. You want to ask yourself, how much will I be able to take out during the years I'm retired? So let's look at an example. Say you save $5,000 per year, and you save that for 40 years. So you're going to be working for 40 years, and we'll say starting next year. And the reason I say that, it makes it an ordinary annuity. And then the question is, how much can you take out each year for the, and we'll say 30 years that you're retired. And so let's draw the little time cash flow diagram. Again, this can be helpful for the more complicated problems, and this is a little, again, more complicated. When you just have one lump sum at year 10, drawing out the time cash flow diagram may not be all that interesting. But when you have a more complicated problem, it helps you to visualize what it is we're trying to do here. So let me draw in a few arrows here. And so these arrows that point up are going to be the money you'll be taking out. And down here we're going to have some arrows for the money that you're putting in. All right, now clean those up in a second and label these. But okay, and I'll go out to here, let's say. All right, so let me see what I'm doing. Let me label this, make this a little bit clearer. Okay, this is a time cash flow diagram, so this is time, and this is going to be year 1. You're going to save $5,000, and then in year 2 you're also going to save $5,000. Okay, all the way out to year 40 you're going to save $5,000. And we're going to make an assumption that, and this is year, let me label this, year 2, this is year 40. Okay, you were still working in year 40, so you're going to make your first withdrawal in year 41, and we want to know how much you can take out. How much can you take out in year 41, in year 42, on and on out to year 70, correct? Okay, that should be 30 years you're working, right? So this is year 70, and so let's figure this out. Last time we knew these numbers and we wanted to solve for this. This time we know this and we want to solve for this. So let's think about this. We can figure out how much you'll have in the account in year 40 after you make the last deposit. So this is a future value annuity problem. So the future value in year 40 is going to be equal to the annuity times that future value annuity factor, which is 1 plus r raised to the nth power minus 1 divided by r. And we can just substitute in, oops, I didn't give you an interest rate, so let's give you an interest rate, and we'll make the interest rate equal to 10%. All right, so let's see what we have here. We know what the annuity is. The annuity is 5,000, and we can again punch into this factor here, So this is going to be what? 1.10 raised to the 40th power minus 1 divided by 0.10. Alright, so let's see what we get. We're going to have 1.1, and then again use the y to the x key to raise it to a power. Y to the x, raise it to the 40th power. Okay, minus 1, and then divided by 0.1. So we get 44259 times the 5,000. And we're going to have 2,212,962.78 if you're really interested. Okay, you can ignore the 78 cents. You could just round off to 2,212,496 963. Sorry. Okay, so now we know how much you have in your account. Now the question is, how much can you take out for 30 years? So let me draw a new picture to help illustrate that. So here we have the case where we say, okay, here we are, it's year 40, and let me draw a couple more of these in. All right, let me try and straighten that out a little bit. And back to my pen. Okay, so what we know is, we know this amount, 2 million. Let's write that down. This is year 40. Okay, still our time cash flow diagram, but I've dispensed with 1, 2, 3. We don't need to really look at that. $2,212,962.78. And then we're asking ourselves, how much can you take out each year in year 41, year 42, okay, on and on, out to year 70. Okay, that's 30 years. So what's the equation? The equation says this is a present value now because it's coming before these numbers. So we know that the present value is equal to the annuity times the annuity factor, which is what? 1 minus 1 over 1 plus r raised to the nth power divided by r. But we want to solve for a. So all we have to do is divide both sides by this factor. So I'm going to put the a on the left-hand side of the equation. So we get a equals the present value divided by 1 minus 1 over 1 plus r raised to the nth power divided by r. And so let's just substitute in what we have. We know we have up here $2,212,962.78. And down here we're going to have 1 minus 1 over 1.10 raised to the 30th power. Remember, it's 30 years that you'll be withdrawing this money, all divided by 0.10. And let's see what we get here. Okay, we have 1.1, raise it to the 30th power. Okay, flip that over, and then take the negative so you can add it to 1, equals, divided by 0.1. Okay, and then we want to divide by this. So let's flip this over and then multiply it by 2,212,962 and 78 cents. And let's see what we get. Ooh, that's a decent sum of money you can take out each year. You can take out $234,749.43 each year. Let's go back and check our numbers using the financial calculator. I sort of forgot to do it for the first part. But let's go back and see if I did all of this correctly. Okay, here was the first case. Okay, clear our time value of money worksheet. We have an annuity of $5,000, so that's the payment. We know we have 40 periods, interest rate of 10%, and we were solving for the future value. So let's compute future value, and we get 2,212,962 and 78 cents. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we had. Okay, now solving for the annuity, let's make this one the present value, and N is now 30. The interest rate is the same. Okay, let's just put in 0 for future value just in case it didn't clear. Okay, that's one way you can do it without clearing everything, because I wanted to use that number again. And let's compute the payment, and we get $234,749.43. We could have just typed this in. If you want to see this typed in separately, we can do that, you know, rather than this, what I just did. 30 years, 10%. The present value I said was 2,212,962 and 78 cents. So that's our present value, and we want to compute the payment, and we get the same thing, $234,749. So you can see that, again, if let me scroll back to the beginning, we had 2 annuities. What do? You start with what you know and solve for that number, and then work towards what you don't know. So we figured out how much was in the account in year 40, and then we figured out how much could you take out if you had that much money. If you had 2,212,000 whatever in your account, how much can you take out each year for the next 30 years? And so that's all it is. It's 2 separate problems. Okay, each annuity is a problem into itself. When you put them together, it makes for a really interesting real-world problem.